Brother D here, your Life Applications Officer, with another video about Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to hold you long at all, I promise. I just want to quote this verse of scripture here based on this video. Let your speech, this is the MEV. I don't know what copyright this is. They're still on the 2014. Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you should answer everyone. Let me say that again. Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you should answer everyone. Now, in this video right here, okay, I did not know that Charlie Kirk, like I said, I really didn't get into Charlie Kirk until he got shot. I seen him, and I know that he was touring with Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens, and I enjoyed some of the comical ways he dealt with the trans activists, LGBTQ activists, and a little bit. I didn't even know he was like a born again Christian. I thought he was just using Christianity to get his point across, but he's actually a born again Christian. He was actually a born again Christian. Was actually a born again Christian. But this here, the mighty Luke, or whatever his name is, I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and then I'm going to give you some of my own gas about that.
She is 100% correct. Oh my goodness. So if you haven't been following, we have Ava Raine, better known as The Rock's daughter, who put out a tweet in response to, I won't call it a tragedy, in response to an event that transpired recently. Damn. And the right has lost their minds. They are going in. They're like, hey, she should be fired. This is disgusting. This is horrible. How can she say such things? And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, she is about to destroy, the Rock's career. That's what she's about to do. Because, The Rock is coming out with the new movie, The Machine, right? The Fighting Machine or something machine. And I'm like, this is bad timing. I'm expecting her to say something that is just filled with vitriol, filled with hatred. Something that's like, Charlie Kirk deserved it. This is what he gets. That's what I'm expecting. So I'm preparing myself to see some true wickedness. I go and look up what she said. And then I come to find out, well, technically, she didn't even say it. She's reposting what someone else said. I'm like, okay, now we have some plausible deniability. We got, a little gray area. But I'm like, even if she didn't say it herself, she's reposting something that may just be absolutely heinous right now. I'm like, not a good look. And I go and read what she reposted. And you all want to know what she reposted? The post was something along the lines of, if you want people to say kind things when you pass, then you should say kind things when you're alive. Someone cooked here. I kid you not.
Okay, that's enough of that. I'll let it play. He goes on to say in here that he goes to show examples of Charlie Kirk saying some things that if you don't listen to all of Charlie Kirk, you could take that the wrong way. You could take that, there's a guy at my job who he just loves to say he's a very lonely man because he's living a lifestyle that is vulgar and ignorant and nasty. And people know that. It's written all over him in his behavior. and nobody, they treat him with respect, but they don't want to get close to him. They don't get too close. Everybody treats him like he's contagious, and when he talks, it's like a kid talking. They just ignore him, and there's only certain people that work there to get sick of him, and they've given him a piece of their mind. I almost gave him a piece of my mind twice, and I reported him to my supervisor the other day, and my supervisor, but the difference between him and what this guy is saying here is that I did absolutely nothing to provoke him. And nobody is doing anything to provoke this man to say these things. He comes in there, he just starts bossing people around, talking to people like they're trash, saying things, and then he'll say something and you'll see if you complain about it. Okay? And so, you're like, what is he talking about? And then he starts, you hear him in the background going off, and you just, he makes you want to fight. He makes you want to punch him in the face. He just should shut up. And I told the supervisor, he needs to shut his mouth. He makes me want to put something in it. He needs to shut his goddamn mouth. Okay? But Charlie Kirk, the difference between Charlie Kirk, and if you look at this video, you can look at this video if you want to. What's it called? The Rock's daughter just triggered the right. Here's what she said. The amazing Lucas. Okay. But Charlie Kirk did say some pretty amazing things here. What we're leaving out is the context in which she said those things. He did say some things about Biden that I'm pretty sure Candace and Brandon and all of them were like, why'd you say that, bro? Like, you shouldn't have said that. Because when they say that stuff about Trump, we go off. You know what I'm saying? And he said he wished death on Joe Biden. And I said some bad things about Joe Biden, but I apologized in the same video. Like, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't wish that on nobody. And I've seen other people, other conservatives do the same thing. But I'm talking to Christians here. As I read the scripture to you now, he quoted two scriptures in here. He quoted one that says, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So he thinks that because Charlie Kirk spoke his mind, he was living by the sword, saying the stuff that he said about Democrats and about blacks and about gays who dare come to him and assault him. No one's talking about that. When you read somebody's tweet about you, it's bound to make you say certain things. Okay? And I think that's what he was doing. I don't think he just said, well, the topic of the day, I think Joe Biden should die. No, I think he was reading tweets because he's on somebody's talk show and he said what he said about Joe Biden. I know Joe Biden and Kamala said some stuff, or they probably said some stuff on Trump that was totally ridiculous, so he said what he said. Okay? But it's true, we don't pay back evil for evil. Trump is wrong for that. We don't pay back evil for evil. And we live by the sword, we die by the sword. One thing this knucklehead said. He also said, life and death is in the power of the tongue. Those are the two scriptures that he said. And you know what? That scripture right there, mixed with the one I just quoted, kind of puts Charlie Kirk in the hot seat for what happened to him, even though that's not bad enough for what happened to him. When my daughter was being abused by her boyfriend, I simply went down to where she lived and hung out at her house. I simply went down there and I said, look, what do you want to do? You want to leave or you want to stay? If you want to leave, I'm going to help you leave. Okay? But if you want to stay, then you're on your own. So I'm fixing to help her leave. He sees that men are getting involved in her life. He knew that I had been avoiding this situation for a while. But when I saw her pictures on Facebook, her letting the world know what he was doing with her, she woke me up from the dead. And even though they don't call me, they never let me know what's going on. She let me know. She came to me for help. So I went down there to where she lived as, her father. And this is my stepdaughter. I went down there to where she lives. And I stood in the way between her and him. And I says, you know what? Maybe you should give it a rest, bro. You're not married to her. Okay? And only 2 of these are your kids. Okay? Like, why don't you give her some space? Like, obviously, every day, every time she opens her mouth, every day, Monday through Friday, okay, she's a punching bag, okay? And so instead of you being in a situation where you need to put your hands on her, why don't you let me get her out of here and move her away, okay? But then this loser started threatening me and my daughters, my biological daughters. He came in my house, knocked on the door. I figured he wanted to come in there and talk about, what his plan was to be able to, get visitation rights to see his kids. And because I'm her father. I'm her father. I took care of her since she was 5 years old. Okay? So he comes in there, and I'm thinking, dude, I got a gun in the drawer behind me. I will shoot your black, stupid behind, nasty. There's so many cuss words I can think of. How dare you come in my house and threaten me? Oh, somebody got to pay for my furniture. She took my furniture. You bought that furniture for your kids. You bought that furniture because you have a family of 5. No, actually 6, just like I did. You got a family of 6. That's why you bought the furniture. What you going to do with the furniture up in some little rinky-dink efficiency all by yourself? You just starting some trouble, man. You know you bought the furniture for the family. Why don't you let it go? But he just wanted to do anything he could to continue to be involved in her life and giving her a headache and giving her, any reason he wanted to hit her. And so, she was living right at that time. She was living right around the corner from me, and I had a car and everything. So I was always there. I was hanging out at her house. She was hanging out at mine. And I hung out there. And he was getting fumed. Me and my youngest daughter. He came to pick up the kids one day. She was afraid to come near him. So me and my youngest daughter, we took the kids out to the parking lot to drop them off to him, and he went mad, kicking the car and all like that. A day or two later, he threw a brick, through the window, getting glass all over his newborn son. Talk about somebody wanting to put a bullet in somebody. Talk about me wanting to go and find somebody and shoot him. Then he's going to threaten my 2 biologicals and say, oh, they're going to pay. I said, what you mean they're going to pay? They live over here. She lives over here. I live in the middle of the 2 of them. They live with their mom. She lives by herself with her kids. And I live by myself with my 2 biologicals. What are you talking about, dude? Somebody gonna pay. So he started doing that gangster crap. And I felt like, dude, I will shoot you. But I didn't. And I could have shot him right in my house because cops was looking for him anyway. I could have shot him in my house and made up any excuse why I needed to shoot him. The dude was a bastard. He was a mother effer. I mean, he was a nasty, evil, gang-banging, thug. I don't know how my daughter got involved with this piece of trash. And I can't think about this boy without cussing. And yet I held my peace. I wanted to shoot him so bad. Oh, man. And now, he's getting out of prison soon, which I think he should be in there for if you put all the charges together, hers and the charges he had before, around the time he met her and before, and the drugs and the guns and, and all that kind of stuff. In the fighting, and he got in a fight in prison, which that was the only reason why he's been in prison this long. Okay? And you just causing black on black crime when you let, N-words like this out of prison. Okay? Because good and well it's not time to let him out of here. So he's on the phone calling her, letting her know that he's getting out. And she's thinking, I'm thinking, what's that got to do with us? Your next goal is to run, get lost. If I was in prison and spent 5 or 10 years in prison for me being, for aggravated assault or any of that, okay, what I would do, okay, if I spent time in prison for aggravated assault, what I would do, okay, is the first thing I would do is, while I'm in prison, I would be, calling anybody that support me, help me get out of the state and go to another state. Help me to move hours away. I don't want to see what provokes me to want to hurt somebody. If my children or my ex make me want to fight or make me want to get violent, I don't need to be around them. Okay? So what's the point of me telling you all my personal business like this? Is because this man threatened me personally. He put his hands on my daughters. And threatened me to go after my biological daughters. Because he wanted me to think that he's so much a thug that he gonna tell me, well, you're her stepdad. You ain't got nothing to do with this. Where you been? You didn't get Bray no shoes and blah, 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 blah. I says, and I got real smart with him. I says, well, once we get you out of the way, we can figure out how to get Bray some shoes. Since, thank God, good riddance, you ain't going to be here. Okay? Now that make him want to shoot me, But, he's such an ignorant a-hole. You know what I'm saying? And thinking about him, I just, But anyway, he even came to my church. The men of the church had to put hands on him and drag him out. I wanted so bad, why I had my brothers there at the church to just pound on that boy. Okay, just beat the snot out of him. I'm so glad that, I wasn't married at that time or anything. Because if he had brought that around my wife, and if my kids had been a little bit younger, and he brought that crap in the church, I'd have been in jail. Okay, I thank God I was single at the time. Me and her mom was divorced. She wasn't involved. But then, I found out that he had called my ex. He called me on the phone one day, and he heard my ex talking in the background. He said, oh, is that B still running her mouth? And I'm thinking, I said, dude, oh God, I thought, you know what, where do you live? You know what, I'm thinking, let me just shoot you. Let me rid the world of this douchebag, like, really. And thank God I'm a Christian, okay? Sometimes you can't do certain things unless you're a Christian. Okay? Sometimes you can't do certain things unless you are a Christian. It's the gift of God in me that kept me from, losing it. He already got in a fight with my stepson. Yeah, I know, the kids just keep adding up. Her brother, okay? He put him in a chokehold. I didn't know nothing about this until, So my stepson, he's like only got one thing on his mind. I'm going to buy a gun. Because he calling her on the phone. He shouldn't be communicating with her from prison. He calling her on the phone talking about he going to come around. When he know the police told him don't come around. And the police in that area are so non-caring. They will arrest you just for showing up at the police station to check on a case. They won't even let you know. Like, this dude's running the street when the police are looking for him. I go in there to get the status, and they're like ready to arrest me if I don't leave. Like, and then I'm like, and I'm trying to explain to them, we're the victims. He threatened my whole entire family. This is my stepdaughter, okay? I was there the last time he got arrested. Like, what do you mean? And they were just really rude to us. And that's another thing, just like Charlie Kirk, if you're not careful, you'll shoot a cop. If you're not careful. If you don't have something there to stand in the way of you and what people say, you might honestly take a swing at him. I know a guy that came after me just simply because I told him that he was a liar and that, he was lying about his breaks and all like that when I was a supervisor for security. And I had to get security to keep from beating me up. Okay? Because you can't tell this loser, and these are like the Democrats, when I say this, you can't tell this loser the truth. Dude, everybody knows it's on camera. You've been on your break for an hour. You get a half an hour break. It's an hour and 14 minutes. Okay? And he will, oh, really? Go home. So now he's in my face. He's shoving me and all like that. And I said, go home. And I pulled out my phone. I called, the branch manager. And she hears him in the background cussing and all like that. And I walked away. He was supposed to have gone home. He came back for round 2. Don't you know that he went down, he purposely left his belongings in the booth down at the front, because he knew I was going to have to go there and cover his shift. He left his belongings there to come back and get them so that we would fight. So I locked him out of the booth. I called security. Thank God we had 2 security teams. Okay? I called security. They had to come down there and escort him off the property after I gave him his belongings. But he was trying to break the glass and everything. And don't you know that I was out at the bus stop? I had my knife and my pepper spray because I had them in my bag when I went to work. But I had like a safety knife in there and my pepper spray. And I had the knife holstered to my belt. And I had the pepper spray in my pocket. And one of these or both, if that boy's out here waiting for me somewhere, and I'm looking around because, I feel like this boy is so angry he's gonna come after me. And that's been a problem in my life. When you're small like me, and you tell people the truth, they think that, oh, we'll just solve this real quick. He's a little small guy. We'll just beat him into the ground and we'll shut him up. But with an older guy, or not an older guy, with a bigger guy, taller guy, you gonna argue longer, okay? Which both of those lead to violence. I just get violent. People just skip arguing with me and try to go violent because they think that's so easy. That's just like, my daughter's boyfriend. Okay, when we were at the hospital, I told her, again, you're inviting him back into your life. He's here to see his kid. Let's stick to that. He's here to help. He's here to help out any way he can. What are you two doing? So I was taking my youngest daughter and my middle daughter, and we were going to leave. And he said, hey, let me follow y'all because I'm leaving too. And I'm thinking, oh, well, that's good. No, he wanted to follow me out because he wanted to fight. So I told him right in the hallway in front of the cameras, I said, you go ahead because I see you getting mad. And I'm going to keep on telling you the truth about yourself. You are no good for my daughter. You need to give it a rest. I'm going to say it one more time. You are no good for my daughter. Give it a rest. Why do you need to keep sticking around? Because she makes you angry every day. Maybe she's not good for you. Maybe y'all need to go your separate ways. You're not married. There's no reason to work this out. Go your own way, man. He got mad. And I told my middle daughter, because my youngest daughter went another way. She went around the other way, but my older daughter wanted to ride home. So we're walking, and we go outside, and I see him through the tinted glass. He's out there, pulling up his sleeves, and he's ready to go. And I stepped back and called security, and I think he heard me because he started walking. But when we finally went out there, security came and they came down the other way. They met me in the hallway. They said, is that the same guy that you was arguing with in the exam room? I said, yes, it is. And I gave him his name and ID and everything. And they said, well, we're escorting him off the property. So when I walked out, they were escorting him off the property, making him walk. They were walking him to the bus stop. When he lied and said he drove there, okay? his car was supposed to be parked there somewhere, but I think he lied. I think he did have a car parked there, but he was using the car as an excuse to come back. But the thing about that is me and my daughter were leaving. So even though we could have went back, being he's leaving, we decided to leave. Okay. Visiting hours was about, close to over anyway. So my point in saying all this is that there's got to be something there to keep you from committing violence. It's not good enough for you to have a conscience, I guess, when you don't know the Lord, when you come from, that side of the tracks. And you got to understand that, Charlie Kirk was part of a conservative, radical team. He was very radical about what he believed, and you insult him like Donald Trump, he will insult you back. Now, they want to sit here and show clips of him saying certain things, but why was he saying them certain things? And when black people come to you with, do you know how many black people wanted to punch me in the face and shove me or whatever because I told them the truth about, racism and what it's not and what it is? And I've had people just totally decided they hate me over Donald Trump. I've had people try to get me jumped. People that claim to be my friends, they tried to get me jumped for being a Trump supporter. I said, look, you need to keep your voice down. This is like Pittsburgh. We downtown. We right down the road from the Hill District. Don't be calling me no Trump supporter like that in front of all these black folks. You know how they are. Yeah, they're gonna take you up in the neighborhood and jump you. You need to put a red hat on and introduce yourself. I said, that ain't funny, man. That's where joking stops. And people coming up to me saying, you a Trump supporter, dude? You a Trump supporter, dude? You're getting all up my face. Well, you a Trump? What's wrong with you, man? You lost your cotton picking man. You a Trump supporter? I mean, they were in my face. And I was like, first of all, just because I'm black don't mean that I have to do what you tell me to do any more than I have to do what the white man tells me to do. I'm a Republican because I feel that that's the better party compared to, look at you getting all violent all up in my face. I don't see any Republicans getting up in your face. And they calmed down when I told them that. Okay? So look who's violent. Look who's all up in my face. And I wasn't even talking to you. He's joking. And you getting all serious. Look at you. And they was like, they just walked off. And so after that day, it's like if they come to, where's Elmer? Okay, they want to talk to Elmer. They don't want to talk to me. We both black, but they don't want to talk to me. They only want to talk to me when they want to complain about something that is, only when they want to complain and nobody else is there to vent on. Okay? And I appreciate that they don't want to talk to me anymore about politics because the way I feel about it, you're wrong and that's all it's to it. But you know what almost made a dude have a wreck in an Uber car when I was in an Uber one day? I told him, I get in his car and he decides to bring up the issue of abortion. And I'm thinking, why is this guy talking to me about abortion? Me and him don't get pregnant. We're not women. We don't get pregnant. Why does he want to bring up women's rights, abortion, all that stuff? So he's mad at Donald Trump. And this was like when Donald Trump was in office the first time. He's mad at Donald Trump and all this stuff, and he's like just bringing this up, and it's in the Uber policy. You're not allowed to talk about this stuff because this could cause issues. He could get fired if I was to report him. But he brought this up, and he kept on saying stuff, and he said, "Well, what if a woman gets raped and all that?" I says, "How many women have gotten raped?" Okay, and gotten an abortion because of rape? How many? Do you have a number? Because I can show you a bunch of women who got raped, okay, and kept their child. It's not the women, and I had to be honest with them. I said, it's not the women that are getting raped or average women. It ain't married women, it ain't women getting raped that are getting abortion. It's lesbians who ended up doing something with a man when they supposed to be lesbian, but they want to go both ways and they got pregnant. It's sex workers and stuff like that. He got mad and the car started swerving all kinds of ways. He said, "You mother effer," and all like that. And I was so glad he slammed up. He almost missed my stop. He slammed on the brakes. Okay, everybody went to look in. I said, "You have a nice day, brother. I'll be praying for you." "You ain't gonna be praying for me, mother effer." You know, he just went off. And you know, he says, "You're really making me mad." And I'm thinking, I ain't trying to make you mad, brother. You brought it up. Sorry, I happen to be a Trump supporter and a conservative. I'm sorry that you feel this way, but I don't get in people's Ubers and preach Trump. You preach that abortion garbage to me. I'm a born again Christian. We don't practice abortion no matter what. He said, "What about this? What about that?" He's just going off, you know. And I had to tell him, when I said there is no excuse for abortion. What if Eve had decided in the beginning that she didn't want to have children? There wouldn't be nobody on earth, dude. Whether she was ticked off at Adam or madly in love with Adam and just want, you know. What if she decided that she don't want to have children? We wouldn't be here, now would we? You know. And when I said there is no excuse for abortion, he said, "Oh, there ain't no excuse for abortion, right?" He went off. And that's when I was so glad. That was the last word I said. I just froze after that. I said, "Don't pass up my stop, brother." No, right there. "Where's it at, God darn it?" I said, "Right there," you know. And, dude, I'll get out here. Just calm down. Let me out here. I mean, you know. You could get killed in an Uber by the driver because they don't like what you say or don't like what you believe in. And I'm saying this to Christians. Let your words be seasoned with salt. The Bible says, "Do not cast your pearls before swine because they'll turn and tear you apart." So what's that mean? That means that there's a time to share what you believe and there's a time not to share what you believe. Now, my main man over there in Canada, Toronto, Pastor David Lynn, gets arrested all the time because he thinks that because he's a Christian, he can look down at the little people and go anywhere he want to go and say whatever he want to say. And when they get mad, he's going to keep preaching. "Oh, and if we pray enough and speak in enough tongues, okay, that's going to make these demons go away." And sometimes it does make them go away. But he's learning his lesson. This is why people practice Calvinism, which I don't believe in Calvinism, but this is what a lot of Calvinists believe. This is where a Calvinist gets applied to Scripture. Calvinism gets applied to Scripture. Because you don't have to preach to everybody. You don't have to win everybody to Christ. Okay? I've never had a person walk into a church and get into a heated discussion because he didn't believe in what we believe. Well, I have. I've had people walk into my Sunday school class and, you know, decided that, you know, because I was letting people raise their hand and say things, they was going to bring up atheism and all like that. And I've had people back me up and tell the dude shut up or leave. And I didn't feel that that was necessary. But I says, you know, brother, you're welcome to stick around after church and talk to my pastor. I'm just a Sunday school teacher. I'm not an expert on atheism or science or none of that stuff. I just believe enough to preach it. I believe enough to preach it. And these guys would come in and get mad and stuff, you know, but they didn't get up in nobody's face. They didn't want to fight. They didn't cuss. They just felt like, you know, but, you know, out on these streets out here, and that's where you're at. When you put up a tent and you allow people to come and talk. I mean, we put up tents over at the Memorial Park when I lived out in Westmoreland County, and people would come up, and one time somebody got mad and started knocking all our stuff down because he didn't like what somebody said about Christ, and everybody ran over there, and he said, "Oh, all 80 of y'all, huh?" And I'm thinking, no, let me go get my gun out of the car. It'll only be one of us, okay? You know, I don't need these other guys. You know, you just ignorant, toilet seat. You know what I'm saying? Like, just starts knocking all of our stuff over and stuff because he didn't like, the guy that was in the booth. It started off with the women. The men went over there. The women were the ones in the booth praying for everybody. He went over there and was ignorant with the women, so the husbands of these women and the other men came over there to see what's going on. Why are you getting loud with these women? And, he was honestly attacking them because they were women. He probably felt that they were pretty, and he felt the women that pretty shouldn't be preaching the gospel. They should be out there in the world where all the fun is at. And they started preaching to him about abstaining from fornication. You need to marry that woman that you're married to, or that woman that lives with you. You need to marry that woman and do whatever. And because he was letting them know where the rubber meets the road. They were letting him know back, according to Scripture, where the rubber meets the road. And he got mad, and we started going over there, and other people started chiming in, and he started throwing stuff around and all like that. The police had to come, and people were like telling me, stay back, don't go over there, And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go over there because I gotta make sure my brothers are safe. 8 of us is better than 2, or whatever. I'm going over there. They want me to get my butt kicked because they don't want me to open up my mouth. Give the dude a piece of my mind. But you don't have to witness to everybody. And there's people that have come to me, and I could see their mental illness on them when they came to me. And so I said, I'm going to keep this short. Because, like one time I was talking to an atheist and he was drunk. And I'm thinking, how does he know I'm a Christian? He just starts preaching to me about, and I told him, well, I'm a born-again Christian, and he started getting loud with me, and I said, brother, I'm not here to argue with you. You told me an atheist. You told me you're an atheist. You showed me your ID. I'm going to show you mine. I'm a born-again Christian. So, whatever you're saying, it doesn't apply to me. You need to understand, I don't give a F. He was kind of drunk. He started walking up on me, and I'm like, and there was a woman there waiting on a bus, and she was like, sir, you need to calm down. He's saying blah, blah, blah. I said, dude, I didn't say nothing. You're the one that started this conversation. You just don't like my response to it, And I think Charlie Kirk was the same way. Like, you tell me the truth, I'm going to tell you the truth. You tell me how you feel, I'm going to tell you how I feel. You tell me how you feel personally, hold on. Stop. I shouldn't tell you how I feel personally. If you tell me how you feel personally, I'm not going to tell you how I feel personally. That's between me and my pastor. That's between me and my support group at the church. It's not between me and you. I'm not going to tell you how I feel personally. I'm going to let you know what the Bible says. I'm going to let you know what we, not me, we believe. This is what we believe and practice. This is our sola scriptura. This is what we practice. Sorry if you don't like that, bro. That's it. I'm not going to say things, and I do believe after listening to this video that Charlie Kirk did say some things that he didn't feel could come back on him, because the Bible also says, like I read along with them scriptures, he said, let your words be seasoned with salt. So even if you're talking to, someone that's infested with the devil, you got to realize the devil is inside the person. The devil could make this person get mad and attack you. So Okay, and the devil ain't going to prison. He is, or you gonna get yourself hurt or killed or something, and the devil got away with it. Ain't nobody putting his butt in jail. Okay, so you gotta let your words be seasoned with salt. You got, even when, that's why Jesus said, I believe, if someone desires to slap you on your cheek, turn the other cheek, because there's times when people are angry and they, lose control because of what's going on in their life. Like I said in the last video, a lot of people are dead inside already. So they don't care about killing you or killing themselves. They don't care about going to prison. They don't care because they're already dead inside. But, you got to let your words be seasoned with salt. When he said this, when he started spitting here, I started thinking, oh, well, the Bible also says let your words be seasoned with salt. So what's the point here? The lesson is Charlie Kirk. If I was Charlie Kirk, and everybody's doing these videos saying, I am Charlie Kirk. I am Charlie Kirk too. I stand with y'all on that. Even though I didn't know the guy that well, but I would not talk like Charlie Kirk did. I'm a black man. And I don't talk to black people out of complete conservatism. He would get offended by stuff that they said to him, and he would just let them have it, and he always won because he gets to get on a plane and go home and ain't got to deal with them streets. He gets to, you know what I'm saying? And me personally, I don't care. Okay? Like black people want to come and say, oh, you got a YouTube channel. I said, you might want to stay away from that. Why? Because I'm honest with everybody. I'm honest with white people. I'm honest with black people. I'm honest with immigrants. I'm honest with the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, everybody. I don't let nobody slide. Everybody gets a beat down from me in my videos. So, you might want to stay away from that. If you don't like people being honest and saying things totally opposite of what you think, you might want to stay away from my YouTube channel. And that's what I tell people when they want to come, look me up on YouTube. Now, some of them, they look me up on YouTube. One guy looked me up on YouTube. He was Indian, and he ended up getting fired because he was going to my YouTube channel. He didn't just go to the one where we talk about Donald Trump now, and he was a Trump supporter. Until Ramaswamy came, and then because Ramaswamy showed up, he wanted to support Ramaswamy, and he got offended because Ramaswamy decided that he wanted to give it to Trump. He decided Trump was a better candidate. Instead of battling it out with Trump, he just decided, oh, it's between me and Trump. Trump can have it. But he wanted Ramaswamy to win just because he's Indian. He come from the same country. That's just as bad as black people wanting Barack Obama to win because they think he's black. He ain't black. Not black the way y'all black anyway. But but anyway, the thing is, this guy got fired because he went from my YouTube channel to my Christian channel. He went from my political channel, Area of One, to my Christian channel, to my music channel, and started making fun of my music and my art and all this stuff. And the guy showed up in my job with a guitar and all like that, and I played it for him. And the dude says, you pretty much know what you're doing. I says, well, I practice a little bit. I have some songs that I wrote, so I gave him the first verse or first chorus of my song or whatever. And he's like, wow, that's pretty amazing. This guy gets on the guitar. He can't even get his chords right because it's been so long or whatever. And he don't practice I didn't just start practicing yesterday. I practiced years ago and then I stopped. I still remember my songs and that, But, he just started making fun of my YouTube channel and going around trying to make people laugh at my YouTube channel and all like that. I took him to the office. Then he came and said he accused me of talking about him on, my YouTube channel, talking about me on my YouTube channel, and they called me in the office later, and I said, what is the name of the person that I'm talking about? Does he have a name? Oh, I didn't mention no names. What company do I work for? Did I mention the Omni William Penn Hotel on here? Oh, no, I didn't, did I? Okay. So, what proof do we have? And I am talking about him, by the way, because he's a big troublemaker. But, what proof do we have in this video that I'm talking about him? We don't. Okay? I said what I'm allowed to say without getting a reprimand, but I'm getting a reprimand anyway. Okay? And they said, well, try not to, then they try to add other stuff like I'm not allowed to use YouTube on my break and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm not allowed to. They try to make laws for me that ain't true. Acting like I can't film while I'm on my break and all like that. And people come and film the hotel all the time, all day long. If you work there or you're a guest there, you can film. You can use the ballrooms and that to talk about whatever you want to talk about, whatever, as long as you don't film other people. Okay, but they try to make policies, just like the Democrats. They try to make policies that don't exist. Okay, the place is there for taking pictures and doing videos. Okay, don't tell me I can't do it when people are doing it every day, all day long. People that are guests as well as people that work there. Now they're trying to make this law for me because this knucklehead wants to complain. And that's the way the Democrats work. One person says something, the other person's going to come and shoot you. You know what I mean? Shoot you or fire you from your job or whatever, And ain't nobody worried about policy. Well, what are the original policies? They don't know, they don't care. But we Republicans, if we make the policy, we stick to it. If the policy exists, we have to, whether we like it or not, we have to follow it. No one's going to get shot. No one's going to suffer because I, as a Republican, don't like a Democratic policy. Okay? So, in closing, there was no reason to kill Charlie Kirk for what he said, because if you look at anything that he said, he was either responding or there was a lot more said for him to clear it up, and I do that a lot. I'll get the heavy stuff off my chest first, and then I'll try to smooth out the text, okay? And I think he did that too. But it's too late. You already defended these crazy people, and all they heard was that one thing. They didn't hear the rest of the video. They didn't hear everything else. This guy's showing clips. Okay, what led him, though, to say that? Just like I watched a video yesterday where this black woman said something to him, and he went off and said some things. Okay, and then they showed in the video where she went and texted back. That's not what he said. That's not what he said to her. And so he goes back. He says, this is what I actually said. But, again, part of seasoning your words with salt is not to always be honest with people. Just like I can't be honest with black people. Okay? They'll kill me before they kill a white man because I'm black. Okay? It'll hurt me. Okay? I can't be honest with black people. Okay? I mean, like I said in one of these other videos about Charlie Kirk, I was honest with black people on a channel where this dude ain't even got black friends. All of his friends are white. But he felt that how dare a black man say anything about black people. Okay. So even though he's on a conservative side and all like that, all he cares about is race things. So I said things about, and me and him, we both come from a different side of the tracks where, we don't live our lives like that. But he was like, how dare he say anything about black people? And it wasn't like he really cared because he know the shoe don't fit him. But because he wanted to attack me because he's an atheist and I'm a Christian, he decided to use color and race and put that in there to get to me. And he ended up going to my Facebook channel and had people coming to my job. He made a video talking about what was on my videos. And people were coming to my job and getting up in my face. And I explained to them who this guy is and what's going on. And I had to even show them some of my videos where I, cleared all that up, where I did apologize for some things that I said, and it had nothing to do with him, long before him, and I did, smooth out what I said in places. I said you gotta look at all my content, just like Charlie Kirk. You gotta look at all my content, not just the parts of the content where I said this or said that in the beginning of my video and then turn the rest of the video off and go pacing the floor and kicking walls in. No, you got to listen to the whole video, because everybody is going to, there's a whole sermon in what you're saying. Okay? Charlie, like me, when he did his ministry and his social media and all like that, he preached sermons. I preach sermons. Okay? So, you can't just look at the just one thing in the video like he's doing here, looking at one thing in the video and then deciding that, he likes to say things that are rude, and that's why he got shot. Well, again, if you say things, if I read the comment section, okay, just like one time I chewed a bunch of atheists out because I was on a live video and they were like, well, ain't Ben Shapiro a Jew? And I went off. Like, what's that got to do with the price of tea in China? Oh, so Ben Shapiro can't say nothing positive because he's a Jew. And I went off. They said, look at him flipping out because we said the word Jew. I said, dude, you people are so ignorant. Why are you going to call him out on his race just because you don't like something he said? This is why the wrong people are coming to my channel. Where are the conservatives at? Where are the Christians at? You people, you need to go find your own people. And that's the last thing I want to say about all this. You don't have to like Charlie Kirk. You don't have to like the Republican Party. And I just watched a video. I'm not going to look it up here because there was a video that I watched. I might go click on it because, where are they? This couple from another country, they had some things to say about the Charlie Kirk thing. Here they are. This couple right here. Cubans warn Americans about Charlie Kirk. I'm going to go check my chicken, and I'm going to let you hear a little bit of this while I go check my chicken, and then I'm going to close. Oh, wait a minute. Let me turn the volume on.
What this means.
Yeah.
I guess the point of this video is for two people who lived in a socialist and communist country to give a warning to Americans what this means.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin this video. I know a lot of you guys probably have seen other YouTubers that are reacting, giving their thoughts on the Charlie Kirk assassination, which I can't even believe I'm saying.
It's crazy. It was really crazy. And sad. Really more sad.
I wanted to do this video with Yoel to give you a different perspective than a lot of other YouTubers.
Yeah.
We have lived in a country, in a society where Charlie Kirk and what he represents and what he did would have never been possible, would have never been published. He would have been silenced.
In many ways. Prison, jail, exile, that's called my English. And the worst was dead like this one.
And so for us, this has been quite an experience. Yoel, for the first time, has seen political violence at this magnitude in a country where we're supposed to be free, where all of our content shows the beauty of America, shows the morals and ideology of a of America, of a free country. So it's been quite interesting.
Yeah. I think everything is like out of control. Because we, how you say, we come into the one of the most country in the planet, like a free speech. That when you see what happened with Charlie Kirk, it's like that's impossible. Why is someone able to do that?
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning and our relationship with Charlie Kirk. Yeah, so when we started making our content, I wanted Yoel to see democracy for the first time, which we were able to do in 2024 with the presidential election. So the video is here. I'll link it somewhere here if you guys want to watch that. But it was important for me for Yoel to see both sides. So I reached out to the College Republicans of Arizona State University and also the College Democrats. Now,
I like how this man has a flag on his shirt. He's from another country, and he has a flag on his shirt. Totally a different apparel than a lot of these migrants that were here that got deported. Totally a different attitude. Okay, they too came from a country where they were fleeing oppression and wanted asylum here in the United States. But part of that asylum was to be able to come here and rape and rob Americans and form their gangs and all like that. Totally different than these two. Okay? It's not God's fault. It's not their fault. It's not my fault. It's not the Republican Party's fault that these two come from Cuba looking like they white. According to the camera, they look like they white, but I'm sure they speak Spanish. They look like they Caucasian in this video, but they come from a country where they thought they could come here and, for a better life. And then, she's crying later on in the video. She goes to crying like, I didn't come here for this. I didn't come here. I'm fleeing the oppression of Cuba. I'm in a country where whatever I say could get me put in prison and all like that. And I come to America thinking America's different, and it's not. I'm not going to play this very long. You can watch this if you want. It's Cubans War in America about Charlie Kirk. Yoel and Mari is their name. You'll see at the end of the video that they're obviously a married couple, if they didn't say that already. God bless them. I love the idea that conservatives move into our country from other parts of the world. That's what we need. We need the conservatives in. See, this could get me shot. My neck's getting shot second. Conservatives in, Democrats out. Y'all can. We don't care. It's not the color that we need to leave. It's the people. I don't care if you white, black, Asian, African, Spanish, whatever you are, Indian. Okay, if you don't have conservative values, you are dangerous for our country. You are dangerous for our country, especially if you're going to be opening your mouth and not keeping your beliefs to yourself. Some people need to keep their beliefs to themselves. Other people need to use their beliefs to help other people. Democrats don't need to be using their beliefs to help other people, because that ain't doing nothing but putting us in a snare and causing us to do something like what that knucklehead did, kill Charlie Kirk. Okay, I'm not going to play much more of this. I'm just let her tell her quick story, and then I got to go.
Now, the College Democrats never got back to us.
Of course.
But the college...
Oh, one more thing before I forget, because I'll forget. I made a comment. Here it is. Many innocent peoples flee to America seeking better life, but they don't know that many Americans in power wants to be like what they're running from, and many countries want to imitate American liberalism. We are headed to an NWO, that's New World Order. Within probably the next 10 or 20 years at most, brace yourself. Okay, just like the Philippines. They want to be feminists like the women here in America. They want to raise the price on everything and everything to be expensive and that, like here in America. And then other countries, they want to come here because they feel that America is free to... Some people want to come here like this couple because America is conservative, they thought it was. And then others want to come here because they enjoy liberalism, like, feminism, divorce, remarriage, child support, all the things we do as liberals. Like a lot of Filipinos, that's what they come here for. The women, anyway. Now, the ones that come over here, I'm talking to, I know a Filipino girl right now that's more conservative. She even came straight here into, she came straight in here, and as soon as she was old enough, she joined the United States military and fought for our country. That's amazing. Her parents not only showed her how to appreciate America, but they showed her how to service America. I think that's amazing. She fought for our country. Well, she didn't fight, but she did go to Iraq for our country. As a Filipino woman, she did go to Iraq for our country. That's amazing. But let her play for a little bit more. And then I gotta go. This is too long.
Did, and the president at the time was a super sweet guy.
Thank you.
We still talk to him today. And he invited us to a couple of events. And since Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA was they're in Phoenix. They're very close.
Yeah.
We got invited to a very closed event with Donald Trump Jr. and Charlie Kirk. And do you remember that?
I remember that.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
We went to this event, and we met them, and I had told them I don't agree with some of the stances that Charlie Kirk had. So I was going to disagree with him. So Charlie and the president of ASU College Republicans invited us to one of the events where we could debate.
Yeah.
And we got there a little late, and by the time we got there was hundreds of kids.
I know.
Hundreds of kids.
And that's amazing.
And how did you feel seeing that for the first time, people debating him?
Ooh, I think it was a great opportunity. Like a different mind, talking each other with different ideology. And in the end, it's like that's the point of the argue, okay, I don't agree with you, agree with me, but in the end I want to be like with people, with human.
Yeah, so that was your first time seeing people debate like that, no?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was fun. It was really good. Can you imagine Cuba? University in Cuba?
No.
Two people inside the university talking different perspective, ideology? Impossible.
In Cuba, an event like Charlie Kirk's would have never been allowed. Ever. It would have never been allowed. And there is only one ideology they teach, which is Marxism. There's only one side that they preach. They never even introduce other ideologies inside the classroom.
That wasn't against the law.
Against the law. And if you dare speak against even your professors in Cuba, they would not allow you to graduate. They would not allow you to get... Exactly. They would get you out of the school. They wouldn't allow you to get a job. And to see the debate that Charlie Kirk, he just put up a tent and he put a microphone and he allowed people to get in line and disagree with him. And I was in that line. I didn't make it to the front because we got there late, like I said. Yeah. But that was the first time you ever...
we saw close. Remember the lady put us in the corner like we can saw
him.
Talking to another teenager, said, I said, wow.
But that was the first time you ever got to see that.
Oh, yeah.
For me, watching you, it was like, wow, you were so excited, and you were like, people were booing and people were cheering, and it was like, what? You were like, what is going on?
This is crazy, but
it was so much fun, and it was a huge part of that video. We were not able to do debates. We weren't able to talk to the Democrats. We weren't able to talk to that side, unfortunately. I wish we did. But that was a huge part of our video because we could see people debating and people going at it. And he was the only person doing this at the time that I knew of.
I know. Yeah,
I don't think that the college Democrats were debating people that I know.
I don't think so.
And so we went, and it was amazing. And to see this, what happened this past week, I guess the point of this video is for two people who lived in a socialist and communist country to give a warning to Americans what this means.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk was divisive, whether or not you think that's true. There's a significant population of Americans who thought he was homophobic, who thought he was racist, who thought he was all the isms, right? Even if you disagree with that thought. That's what makes him divisive, right? But nobody with conviction in their ideals isn't divisive.
Yeah.
Anybody who has an opinion isn't divisive because there's always going to be a population that thinks differently from you.
That's right.
And to see how we've gone, it just makes me cry. Because it's not about Charlie. It's not about Charlie as the person. It's not about that he's a conservative or a liberal or whatever. It's about that I brought Yoel to the United States with the thought that people are free to say what they want to say. Because our families fled from a country that did not allow that. To come here and see that has been very emotional for me.
It's a big reward for everyone, like me, like a Cuban people, like a Venezuelan, like many of the people coming from the socialist country. See people like Charlie Kirk talking with, again, another guy, girl, woman, whatever, and talking a lot of different idea. In the end, I said, the reward, for this conversation is you and me. We are different in idea, but in the deep, we are human. We need to work for the good for this society, and this society is human people. That's why in 2025 we have an amazing country, amazing development, technology, because we are thinking different. That's why we have this, we have computer, we have a lot of stuff and supply and tool because we think different.
Yes.
God given to that possibility. You, my brain, the Charlie brain, the brain of the kid or teenager in the school, we are different, but we need to work. What is the better for the United States or the people inside here? Not what Charlie talking many times.
And as somebody who disagreed with some of his stances,
it's fine.
You know, I went to school for political science, for political theory. Right now we're recording this video underneath a book stand that has George Orwell, 1984 in English and Spanish, Machiavelli, selected political writings. I have Locke, John Locke, Second Treatise of Government, and Atlas Shrugged.
Okay, you can watch this video if you want to. What's it called? Cubans warn America about Charlie Kirk. Their channel name is Yoel and Mari. They're from Cuba. And they came here looking for a better life, and then they have to see stuff like this. Americans, in the most freest country of the world, Americans are not free. You can be shot for what you say. You can be shot if somebody doesn't like your politics. If you have two parties, you have the Republican Party and you have the Democratic Party, and some people don't even vote either one. They're libertarian or whatever, and there's no Libertarian Party, there's no Christian Party. You got to vote for one or the other, Democratic or Republican, okay? But they want it where it's only Democratic. You cannot be a Republican, especially if Republicans go by Republican policies and push Republican policy. You can't do that. It could get you shot. And that's what the message about Charlie Kirk is. That's what the Democrats are trying to relay here, is that you could get shot for being against them. Okay? But again, as I was saying in closing, nobody needed to show up for that tent. Nobody needed to go up under that tent and open. They could have just said, well, I care what he got to say for it. And they could have kept on walking. It's always the people who stop and want to talk that'll persecute Christians. It's always the people that'll stop and want to talk that'll actually cause it to get physical. If I come at you with a microphone and you already know that you don't like what I'm pushing or like what I believe in or like what I'm interviewing you about, you keep walking. You don't stop because you know it's going to provoke you. But they wanted to be provoked. Okay? And I really believe that the people who are saying that all these things, the shooter didn't say nothing about Charlie Kirk. He just silently shot him. But you got all these people talking because they ain't got the guts to shoot him. Because if they had the guts to shoot him, they would have shot him a long time ago. So, God forgive them for they know not what they do, including the dumb behind shooter. But I do believe that shooter needs the death penalty, and he needs the death penalty in front of the whole entire world. So they know, before you decide that you want to unalive, as they put it, somebody just because you don't like their politics, understand that Republicans got rights too. They got freedom. They live here in America. They have rights too. In Jesus' name. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. And, don't just hate on the video because it's long. Oh, you got things to do, but you watch how many videos a day? Spend some time, watch this video, and let me know what you think. And I will talk to you soon with more. God bless.